Tonight on Whip City Weekly, we've got another Springfield casino update.
WSU senior Tom Durkee is in the studio to talk to us about his work during AIDS Awareness Month.
And we've got a clip from an exclusive interview with PJ McAdam from the WSU hockey team.
All that and more when Whip City Weekly starts right now. Thank you for tuning in to Whip City Weekly. I'm Christina Pinto.
And I'm May Randall. Noble Hospital has recently opened an express healthcare facility in Westfield. It will serve patients whose primary physician is unavailable if regular offices are closed or for individuals not wanting to wait in the emergency room for a non-emergency. Noble Express Care is open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday and 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekends. And the recent 5K in Stanley Park was a rousing success. Event organizers were hoping to host around 250 runners, but ended up with 450. The event was to raise money to help repair a bridge that was heavily damaged by a snowstorm in 2011. Park organizers are considering making the 5K an annual event.
The Toys for Joy fundraiser is now in its 91st year with an ambitious goal of raising $150,000 by Christmas Eve. This goal would be made easy if everyone was as generous as F.L. Roberts and Company, who recently donated $1,000 to the cause. If you would like to help, the Holyoke Citadel is taking donations until December 20th. Finals are officially here, and WSU students have a very furry way to deal with the stress. Pet therapy has been available every Thursday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the Eli lobby. Dogs of all sizes and breeds are provided to help students get through the end of the semester. I think I'm definitely going to have to go check that one out.
After months of reviewing MGM's plan for a casino in Springfield, investigators for the Massachusetts Gaming Commission are recommending that they be found suitable to continue with those plans. They now have until December 31st to apply for the sole casino license in Western Mass. After that application process is complete, the town surrounding Springfield will find out if they see any money from the possible impacts of the casino.
And now a quick update on the football team, whose head coach, Steve Marino, recently retired. Pete Kolaski, the Owls' assistant head coach of 9 years, has been appointed the interim coach. Kolaski has been involved in the Owls football since 1996. It's time for break, but first let's catch up with Kenny Lombardini, who's talking to WSU senior Tom Durkee about AIDS Awareness Week. How's it going over there?
It's going awesome. We were talking about all the great things Tom does to support the cause.
Sounds good. I can't wait to hear more. When we come back, Kenny's going to get a chance to ask Tom a few questions about bringing awareness to AIDS.
I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Sitting here with WSU senior Tom Durkee. Tom, we're here to talk a little bit about the AIDS Awareness Week, which just occurred here on the WSU campus.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with this idea, what went into it?
So AIDS Awareness Week came to fruition through my position here at campus. I'm the staff development assistant here at University Hall. And through that position, we are expected to host a campus-wide event. And that's supposed to kind of bring awareness to a topic or educate the campus on a big issue. So in the spring, when I got hired to this position, I was taking GLBT studies with Madeline Cahill here in the communication department at Westfield State. And we watched a documentary called Common Threads, Stories from the Quilt. And this documentary it talked a lot about the NAMES Project AIDS Memorial Quilt, which we had here on campus last week. And it really struck a chord with me because so many lives were lost, and I felt like it was really not a hot topic issue anymore, and our students kind of were out of the loop on it. So I knew that that was something that I definitely wanted to bring to campus early on. So the idea probably came in about March or April of this year. And then once we got back to school, it really kicked into high gear, and I've been planning for about 4 months now.
After deciding what you wanted to do, what went into the planning, what events did you decide that were going to be best to get the awareness out to the school and the campus?
Right. So planning started pretty early on. We definitely tried to secure a location and talk about budget and things like that. We wanted to originally have it just be like a 1 or 2 day thing, but then we realized once we started the process of obtaining the quilt and the paperwork for that once we paid for the quilt, we could actually have it for the full week. So we decided to, instead of having just a day-long thing, we would extend it and make a week out of it so that we could really touch as many people as possible with the quilt. So World AIDS Day was December 1st, which was a Sunday. Our students were returning to campus from the Thanksgiving holiday. And so we really wanted to open it up with a low-risk activity, kind of a fun way to break the ice. It's a heavy topic, so we definitely wanted to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So we had a drag queen come in and host condom bingo in the lobby of University Hall, which we had about 50 or so people come to. It was really well attended. It was really funny, and it was a nice way to kind of break the ice and throw some some education in, but kind of present it in a fun way.
So what actually is condom? You got to explain this further.
So basically, she would say like a term, and then a definition of a term related to AIDS or HIV, and then they would have to like cover it on their board. And then what they did was they used condoms as the bingo chips. So kind of giving out like some safe sex materials, some education, presenting that in a fun way. Tuesday, we decided to go with a gallery showing to kind of just open it up, provide some hors d'oeuvres and some light music, and kind of just talk. I was available. The residence director of University Hall, Allison Gagne, was available to answer questions that students might have about the AIDS quilt, AIDS itself, stuff like that. So we both did some research before that, just to make sure we were well-versed. Wednesday night, we had the panel of power. I connected with the Western Mass AIDS Foundation to bring in 3 individuals, 2 of which had HIV, 1 that had AIDS, and they came in and they shared their stories with our students. We had about 25 or so people at that. Great questions were asked of the students. I was very pleased with it. They were pleased. They were more than welcome to come again. They were excited to come again, so hopefully we'll see them again on campus in the future. And then on Thursday, we wrapped it up with the documentary that started it all back in March and April. We showed that in the room with the quilt, and it was really overwhelming for myself as well as some of the students, and it I think it kind of touched them and brought everything full circle.
So I know you said this documentary really is what first gave you the motivation to do this. Is there anything in the documentary that kind of stood out to you that really made you feel that it was a big issue and that you needed to address it here on campus?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me in this documentary, which actually won the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 1990, and the people that made it also did The Times of Harvey Milk and Paragraph 175 about homosexuals in Nazi Germany and the concentration camps. The biggest thing that struck a chord with me was AIDS is stereotyped as a gay disease. It was originally called GRID, gay-related immune deficiency, and there were so many children that were dying from this disease that I had to kind of take a step back and realize like people need to know that it wasn't just like people that were getting it through sex or IV drug use. A lot of children were hemophiliacs, which is a blood disease which requires constant blood transfusions. So these children were getting blood transfusions, the blood was tainted, and they were dying from AIDS as well.
That's something you're born with, right?
Yes,
So
it's a blood disease that you're born with. So I mean, there was kids dying in the documentary as young as 5.5 years old. So for me, that was something where, I think a lot of people thought that AIDS was something that people kind of brought upon themselves through unsafe sexual practices or unsafe drug use. But, a lot of children also passed away, and they're memorialized in the quilt as well.
Yeah, it definitely sounds very touching. So you've talked a lot about this quilt. Can you kind of explain more to me and the viewers what the quilt is and what actually goes into it?
So the quilt was actually an idea of ACT UP, which is a project that started in New York. It came out of the San Francisco Bureau with Larry Kramer. And they wanted to bring awareness through a kind of an art form. The government was largely ignoring the AIDS disease when it was taking a lot of lives because it was known as a gay disease, so they were kind of distancing themselves from it, the Reagan administration. And they wanted to kind of show the government, like, this is what's happening, and they wanted to memorialize the lives. So the NAMES Project organized the AIDS quilt. Family members, loved ones, partners of the people that were lost to the disease made panels. They're 6 feet by 3 feet. They're supposed to be reminiscent of the size of a coffin. And that panel, they decorate it with the name, the years, born, died. If they played baseball, it might have a bat on it. If they were in a play or they were very into theater, it might have like a playbill on it. We had one here like that. So what they did is they made these quilts these little panels, and then they sent them into the Names Project. And then the volunteers there in San Francisco would stitch them together. Each panel, a larger panel, was 12 feet by 12 feet, and those are the ones we brought here to campus, and featured 8 people. And it was first laid out on the National Mall in Washington in 1987 as a way to kind of shed some light on it.
So
And
it definitely has some history behind it for sure as well.
Yeah, definitely. And now it travels the country as a way to kind of memorialize these people and kind of to educate and open people's eyes.
Sounds like it's definitely very motivating. Well, thank you. It sounds like you've put a ton of work into this. We're glad you had success, and we'll definitely look forward to it in the future, and hopefully more kids can get involved and more kids are aware of the AIDS epidemic. When we come back, it's time for Whip City Sports with Mike Drew. Stay with us.
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Whip City Sports. I'm Mike Drew. Well, we start tonight with another bad break for Rob Gronkowski. Before the Patriots completed their recent epic comeback effort against the Cleveland Browns, they lost their all-pro tight end to a torn ACL and MCL after he sustained a bone-numbing hit from Browns safety TJ Ward. Immediately after the hit, Gronkowski was seen painfully yelling expletives out of frustration, and it's understandable with the luck he's had because this is Gronk's third major injury already in his pro career. It'll take about a full calendar year for him to get back on the field in any capacity, and we wish him well. Moving on now, men's and women's indoor track and field started their seasons at the Springfield College Quad Meet last week. The men's team finished with a good showing in second place, and Our Lady Owls with a close fourth place conclusion. Some stars for the women were Nolodi Palma, Amy O'Clair, and Meg McNamara, who all placed first in their respective events. We're also proud of our other first-place finishers, Zach Madera and Tevin Cintron for the men's team. Our 4x400 and 4x800 men's relay teams also beat out the other competitors for first place. On another note now, the Owls men's basketball team took another misstep recently to Springfield College, losing 67-59. Westfield somehow kept it relatively close despite shooting only 30% from the field and an abysmal 52% from the free throw line. Springfield held a 12-point lead twice in the game and were led by the 6'7" junior forward Tim Swenson and his 14 points and game-high 15 rebounds. The Owls were once again led in the scoring department by their captain, Grant Cooper, who netted a game-high 15 points. One more bright spot from this one for the Owls is that over half of their points came off the bench, an area that will only grow more important down the line. And finally tonight, Westfield State men's hockey team suffered a loss to Stonehill College, an out-of-conference matchup, 4-3. Freshman sensation Jackson Leaf found 2 of his teammates' sticks to tally 2 assists on the night. Scoring goals for the Owls were Justin DeVincentis, Taylor Murphy, and Tyler Prendergast. Ian Perrier was in goal for the Owls, and he registered 37 saves in the tilt. Once again, Westfield had a 3-2 lead entering the third period, only to see it evaporate. With the loss, the Owls dropped to 4-7, but 4-2 in the MASCAC Conference. With 10 points in conference, they only trailed the leader, Framingham State, by 1 point. Well, we know you've been waiting for it. Whip City Weekly's Matt Stover got to talk to P.J. McCadden from the Owls hockey team. Let's see what he had to say.
I'm here with P.J. McCadden, sophomore forward for the Westfield men's hockey team. How you doing, P.J.?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. So this year started off a little rough start. Last year started out 6-0. Can you tell me what the biggest difference is between last year's team, where you started off 6-0, scoring a lot of goals at will, to this year's team, where you guys struggled out of the gate?
I'm not really sure if there's one answer to that. I know last year we had a more veteran team. We only had 4 freshmen. This year we're at 8. So I think for the most part, so far this year, it's been a little bit of an adjustment period for guys to get used to the NCAA game and such. And sometimes hockey is just a game of bounces. Last year, I know we had a few overtime wins in the first 6 and come from behind wins where, it seemed like anything that would happen, puck would find in the net, and we were able to keep battling through and get wins. And this year, it's not like we're really playing any different. It's just sometimes it's not there. And but it's better to have this early in the season than it is late in the season.
Absolutely. You guys were scoring goals at will last year, averaging about 6 goals a game. You did average 21 minutes in penalties, though, so your penalty kill unit definitely is out there for a lot. You lost Roy Wilkowitz last year, who was your absolute grinder. This year, I think Dan Laughlin's done a good job stepping up and being that speedster type of guy. This year, though, you've talked about your freshman class, how you guys are a lot younger than you were last year. Jackson Leaf, Mike Visconti did him a few. Your thoughts on their play this year and how they've helped propel the team?
They've done a good job so far stepping in this year. Jackson, was a highly recruited guy coming out of juniors and stuff like that, and he's played well. He scored some big goals for us in a few games, helped us get over the top. And Busconi's been really, can't ask for any more from him. He's been switching positions back and forth and doing all the coaching staff ask of him, and whether it's playing forward or playing defense, he's just been able to help the team every night. And same goes really for most of the freshmen. We've been able to step in there and just kind of buy in and do their job and help the team win. So like I said, it's a little bit of a learning process coming from junior to the NCAA game, and I could see the improvement from them each and every game. So it's definitely good to see.
Okay, Matt, and to see the rest of that interview, you can look for us on YouTube. Just search Whip City Weekly. Now let's go back over to the desk.
So Christina, have you gotten a chance to see PJ and our Owls play yet?
I actually have not yet.
The games are really fun. You should try and attend one.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
For sure. Before we go, here's something that you won't want to miss. Westfield's Dickens Days are well underway, and the next big event comes this Saturday. It's the 3rd annual Royal Music Hall Winterfest, featuring Westfield State University's big band, the young singers of Greater Westfield, and many other local musical groups. The show starts at 2 p.m. at Dever Stage on the WSU campus. Well, that does it for this week's episode of Whip City Weekly. I'm May Randall.
And I'm Christina Pinto.
Take care, Westfield.